What do you get when a British airplane company asks Italians to design a convertible? A luxury machine so rare and elegant, even James Bond would need a second mortgage to afford it. Ladies and gentlemen, and my friend Timmy, buckle up and try not to spill your tea, because today we're diving into a car so rare, so elegant, and so absurdly exclusive that even a Saudi prince would have to skip lunch with Elon Musk to afford it. This, my friends, is the 1948 Bristol 401 Pinin Farina Cabriolet, a car that answers the question, what happens when a British airplane company gives its sports saloon to Italian fashion designers and says, go nuts? And go nuts they did, because what came out the other end looked like a cross between a pre-war fighter jet and a Milanese supermodel on vacation in the Cotswolds. But before we uncork this classy cabriolet and Timmy tries to fit it with a fishing rod rack, let's raise a glass, or at least a coffee mug, to our channel sponsors. Without you, Timmy would still be trying to polish alloy wheels with olive oil and a sock. You're the real MVPs. Now then, a little history, because unlike Bob's version of the Cold War, which includes Martians and Queen Elizabeth driving tanks, this one's actually true. It's 1948. Britain's still coughing up dust from World War II. The Bristol Aeroplane Company, yes, the same people who used to build bombers, decides it's time to get into the luxury car business. Because nothing says economic recovery like hand-building a vehicle that costs more than 9 Morris Minors stacked on top of each other. They launch a series of cars under Bristol Cars Limited, a joint venture with AFN Limited, the Fraser-Nash folks. At the helm is Sir George White, who preferred conservative British tourers. But then there's H.J. Aldy Aldington, the guy who brought beer to the boardroom and said, what if we made this thing sexy? So Aldy does what any self-respecting post-war rebel would do. He grabs 3 bare chassis, drives them over the Alps, and hands them straight to Italy's finest, the one and only Battista Pinin Farina. The mission? To create the most outrageously elegant drop-top that Britain never asked for, and probably wasn't ready for. But hey, when you mix British engineering with Italian flair, you don't get compromise. You get a cabriolet that looks like it belongs on the Riviera, not in rainy Bristol. Only 3 were ever made. 3 that we know of, all bespoke, hand-formed aluminium bodies riding on the Bristol 401 chassis. It was British engineering in Italian couture. Let's get greasy with the specs, shall we? This beauty rides on a 2,896mm, 9 feet 6 inches wheelbase with a traditional FR layout that's front-engine, rear-wheel drive for those keeping score. Under the bonnet, a 1,971 cubic centimeters inline-6 derived from the BMW 328, pumping out around 80 horsepower and later tuned to 85 horsepower or even up to 118 horsepower with spicy cams. The top speed, 97 miles per hour, 156 kilometers per hour. That may not sound like much today, but in 1948 that made it a polite road-going missile. The transmission was a 4-speed manual with a remote shifter, which back then was like saying your car had Wi-Fi. Suspension, independent up front with transverse leaf springs, live axle on torsion bars in the rear. Brakes, hydraulic Lockheed drums, 279mm in diameter with Alfin fin drums up front for better cooling. In other words, it stopped better than most drivers trying to explain crypto to Timmy after 3 beers. And let's talk about looks. The Pinin Farina body was hand-beaten aluminium art, every curve sculpted with the precision of a Renaissance statue and just as delicate, especially if you park next to Bob's pickup with that rusted plow mount. Inside, you were greeted with leather, wood, and luxury. Even the door handles were clever. Push-in buttons that preserved the car's sleek lines and helped it achieve a drag coefficient under 0.36 in 1948. Meanwhile, Timmy still can't figure out how to open the microwave. The 401 PF wasn't just a looker. It handled with dignity, cruised comfortably, and responded to throttle with a raspy growl that made Alpha owners jealous. It was, in short, everything Timmy's dating profile claims to be: rare, refined, and well-maintained. Only difference? The Bristol doesn't ghost you after 3 drinks. And if you're wondering what this all cost, well, in 1948, the price tag was £2,500 sterling, 5 times the cost of the average car then being manufactured in England. Today, that would be about £113,000 sterling, $145,000. And in 2025, one of these ultra-rare cabrios was listed for £149,950 sterling in the UK. So hats off to Aldi, Pinin Farina, and all the legends behind this rolling sculpture. The Bristol 401 Farina Drophead wasn't just a car, it was a diplomatic love letter between engineering and elegance. Smash that like button, subscribe to Cool Ideas, and if Timmy tells you he once drove one of these at Europe with Sophia Loren, just nod. He's probably confusing it with his aunt's Fiat Panda, and Sophia was actually a cardboard cutout from the back of a Cinecittà movie poster. Till next time, keep your top down, your engine tuned, and your stories only slightly exaggerated.